had never been to a motorcycle rally and thought that I should make a video about the experience. In fact, I've never done a long distance trip on my motorcycle and thought, why not add to the challenge by documenting the trip for you guys? If not for you to watch, but for me to enjoy and maybe relive the experience in several years. I started by working out what to pack and how to affix it to my sport bike, which I must say is not the best for long travel or sitting many hours in the saddle. More on that later. I got my changes of clothes, camera gear, and tire plug kit and inflator, and packed my waterproof hiking backpack and then cinch strapped that to the bike, which worked well. I didn't want to buy saddlebags if I didn't need to. I had my work phone mounted to the bike and charged it while in use with a portable battery pack in my jacket pocket. Mind you, this is May 9th to the 11th, but the morning temps were in the low 50s and the temp at all during the entire trip didn't get above 77. So I packed and wore long johns on my morning rides. I want to give my feedback on the Ozark Rides Rally specifically, but more on that later. I planned a scenic ride instead of purely highway travel, and it was fantastic. In south central Missouri, you have the Blue Buck Knob Scenic Byway, which is very pretty. I took that to my first stop, which was about 2 hours and 29 minutes into my 4-hour plus journey. I also found it noteworthy that Missouri scenic highways are labeled with letters only, and Google Navigation will say them phonetically. In the case of Highway AH, it says Highway A. I arrived in Plato, my first stop, where you can find the 2010 census designation for the U.S. Center of Population, if all persons were distributed equally. My next stop, about 40 minutes away, was in Lebanon, where you can find a free Route 66 museum, worth a stop for sure. Lebanon is right off of Interstate 44, which follows old US Route 66. When I was done there, it was about 2 p.m. and I was hungry, so I went into downtown where I spotted Boattown Brewing. It was perfect for me because on one side it's a brewery, and the other side it's a pizza place. The young guy told me I could eat a whole calzone, but of course I couldn't, so I found a way to strap it down to my bike, and I ate the rest for dinner. A nice gentleman who was there gave me the rest of his porter, which I didn't care for, told me to check out the car show later that night in Lake of the Ozarks at the Bagnell Strip. After lunch, I headed on to my next stop of Hahatonka State Park, which is about 32 minutes away. I saw some cool castle ruins where a wealthy man in the 1900s named Robert McClure had started building the European-style castle but never lived to see it finished. He died in a car crash while it was being built. Also in the state park is a very cool natural bridge and hiking trail, which I highly recommend. I got fuel, again, before heading on to check into my hotel. I will say I got the most miles per gallon on this ride that I've ever gotten. It was about 4:15 p.m. when I checked into my hotel, which was right on schedule, so I took a short break before heading to the Bagnell Strip to see about that car show. It was nice, I saw some cool cars and bikes, but it was here where I started to feel like, damn, this would be more fun if I knew some people or had someone to hang out with. The Dog Days Bar and Grill was on the schedule of events, so I figured I would find some people there to hang out with from the rally. However, I approached 2 biker-looking guys and asked them if they were part of the rally. Turns out they weren't. One was the owner of Dog Days, and his good buddy was hanging out with him. I ended up having a drink with them there before going to another biker bar, all of us on our motorcycles. After a few drinks, it was time for me to stop. I am on my motorcycle after all. I called it a night shortly thereafter, but not before trying Andy's custard. Saturday morning, I had planned a hike in Lake of the Ozarks State Park, which was very nice. I love spending time in nature. Next, it was time to find the group ride at the Harley-Davidson dealership. I met some really cool guys who had rode from Kansas to come to the ride. The vendors were set up and trying to get me to come talk to them. I'm glad I did talk to one because he told me about the St. Christopher inside my jacket pocket that they don't advertise. The ride was a lot of fun. I rode behind a biker chick who was very short. She happened to scrape her peg and boot going through a turn, which I'm sure scared her, but it scared me too. Then, as we pulled into the parking lot, she dropped her bike. The ride ended at the Bagnell Strip, which I was quickly finding was the hangout spot. I went to a bar and ran into Mike from Riding in the Ozarks YouTube channel. I talked and hung out with him for a while and talked about motorcycles and YouTube in general. There was quite a bit of time left in the day before the evening's scheduled hangout spot, the Encore, so I decided to go back to Dog Days and have a few drinks, grab a bite to eat, and people watch. I did meet 2 couples on bikes and just asked them if I could tag along to wherever they were going next. We went to Lucy's on the Bagnell Strip. I had a couple beers with them before they called it a night, and I ended up just walking around taking photos, which is something I really enjoy. Summarizing the Ozark Rides rally while offering some constructive criticism, I thought there would be more people at the bars and restaurants from the rally itself. I wish they would have been more explicit on the website about the rally and vendors being set up specifically at the Harley dealership. Maybe that was on my part for not kind of grasping that, and maybe it didn't need to be explicitly said, but I didn't find that out until I got there for the ride. On Sunday, I packed up all my gear, strapped it down, and checked out. My first stop on the return route was exactly 1 hour away at Uranus Fudge Factory. I will say, wow, I need to come and visit this place with Jim, my husband. He would absolutely love it. I didn't actually go in or look at anything because I wanted to experience it with him for the first time. I rode another 5 minutes on the old US Route 66, which was very cool, to Devil's Elbow Bridge. I stopped and I chatted with a cool biker couple who were on adventure bikes. I think that's going to be my next motorcycle. Next stop, Echo Bluff State Park. I got to ride on I-44 and go very fast, so that shed some time off of my 1 hour and 45 minute section of the trip. But most of it was headed to the state park on Highway 72 and 19. Highway 19 is so pretty, it's one of the very best roads on this trip. I went into the park to check out the campground to see if it would be a place Jim and I would want to come with the coach. The last leg of the trip was another 1 hour and 45 minutes of twisty and hilly roads that really did feel like being on a roller coaster. Most of it was on Highway 19. I finally got home at 2:20 p.m. after leaving at 9:07, and I had determined a few things for my trip. Number 1, my FZ1 is not a super comfortable motorcycle for long trips. Number 2, I can find people to hang out with if I'm going solo. Number 3, it would be more fun in a small group of riders if we'd all gone together. Number 4, the Ozark Rides Rally is a much smaller and maybe more casual version of Bike Fest, which happens in September every year. And number 5, I was glad to be home.